Hi class. I just wanted to give you a couple of tips as you do the homework for Chapter 2. So the first thing is, I know some of you had asked about spreadsheets to do the homework. In past classes, I've been able to find spreadsheets that were set up by the publisher to match the homework assignments. I could not locate any for this book, so unfortunately there are no spreadsheet templates. You will have to make your own. So I did want to kind of let you look at how the homework should be so you kind of know how to set those things up. This is problem P2-18, I believe is the first one you have to do, about Madison Senior Care Center, and you're looking at determining whether costs are direct or indirect, whether fixed or variable. So if I was doing this problem, I would set up a spreadsheet that looks like my screen and list out A, B, C, D through I, and you don't have to type all of those items in. You can just put the letter and I'll know what you're talking about unless you just want to type them in. And then you'll have 3 columns. We're looking at identifying what are direct or indirect costs of the Meals on Wheels program, what are direct or indirect costs of particular seniors served by that Meals on Wheels program, and then deciding whether those costs are variable or fixed. So just a couple of tips. In the first column, you're looking at direct or indirect costs of the Meals on Wheels program as a whole. And remember that Meals on Wheels program is part of an overall center called the Senior Care Center, and that center may be operating many different programs. So we're looking for costs that are directly associated with the Meals on Wheels program. Your hint is that there is only one thing in this column that is indirect cost. So it is something that would be a cost for the entire Senior Care Center and then would be divided up indirectly across each program in the Senior Care Center. So the challenge to you is to figure out which of those is indirect. In the next column, we've got direct or indirect costs of particular seniors served by the Meals on Wheels program. So the challenge here is to figure out what costs are directly associated with a meal for a particular person or particular people. So some things that we're going to be looking at will be associated and that we have to use them in providing the meals, but they're not directly associated with a meal. So in this example, they've got the cost of groceries used in meal preparation. The cost of groceries is directly related to a meal that a senior eats because a senior is going to eat a hamburger or a French fry or whatever it is that they're cooking. So those are directly related. My hint for this column is there are a couple of these that can be either direct or indirect. So if you're not sure, it might be that it is because it could be either. And there are actually 2 that are either direct or indirect. In the last column, you're looking at variable or fixed with respect to the number of seniors. So we're looking at costs that go up or down depending on the number of people we serve. So in the example, it says that the cost of groceries is a variable cost, and that's because the more people we serve, the higher our grocery bill is. If you've bought groceries, you know the more people you have to feed, the higher your bill goes. The fewer people that you have to feed, the lower your bill goes. So that bill is variable depending on the number of people you're serving. Some things that might not be variable, if you think about yourself, if you're buying groceries, it goes up or down depending on the number of people you serve. If you think about the cost of equipment, like the cost of your dining room table costs whatever it costs. It's not going to go up or down depending on whether you put one person at the table or crowd 10 people around the table. The cost of that table is still whatever you want paid for it. So it's a fixed cost. So look through those and see if you can figure out which are variable and which are fixed. So the next question that you have to do for homework is P2-23, I believe. Again, there is no spreadsheet for this, so you'll have to create something on your own. I'm actually using a program that the publisher provides at a cost, so that's why we're not using it in this class because it's pretty pricey, but I have access to it, so we're going to use it as we walk through this example because I thought it would be easier. So this example is very much like your homework. The numbers are going to be different, but it says Milden Company had an exclusive franchise to purchase a product from the manufacturer and distribute it. And let's see. I'm actually reading your exact homework question. Let me go to the next one, which is not exactly like your homework question. Let's try this one. Same question, different amounts. So again, building company is going to purchase a product. We have some data here. They have come up with these cost formulas, and that is what we're giving. There is one unknown here, and that is their shipping expense, which is going to be part of what we have to figure out. And it says management has included that shipping expense that we don't know how much it is a mixed cost containing variable and fixed cost. And they're giving us some units sold and some shipping expenses. So the first thing we need to do is use the high-low method, estimate a cost formula for shipping expense based on the data from the last 8 quarters. So to do that, we're going to go back up to this chart here, and we're going to identify the high and the low amounts, and we're going to use that to calculate our shipping expense. So if we look through here, we have looks like $238,000 of shipping expense and 34,000 units. It would be the high, and looks like the low is $166,000 in shipping expense and 22,000 sold, which would be up here. So our high was 34,000. We're going to put that, in your case you would be putting that in your spreadsheet, but I'm putting it in this chart, but we'll have the same result. Alright, so it is, then we're going to calculate the change, and mine did it automatically. Yours would be the difference between the two, so of course that gives you an amount of change. And then we are going to calculate the variable cost per unit and the fixed cost element. So the variable cost per unit is going to be 72,000 divided by 12,000. Excuse me. And that looks like $6. I don't know if that was supposed to have a rounding or not. Let me do that again and make sure. 72,000 divided by 12,000 is $6 per unit. Our fixed cost element is our high activity sold less, less our variable cost per unit at that high activity. So, and this is, I know that's a lot to listen to, and I wish I could write it on here, but I have any way to do that. So we've got our variable cost per unit. Our fixed element is $238,000. Let's see, write this out. $238,000 less the high activity amount, which is 34,000, times our variable cost per unit, which is $6 a unit. So 34,000 times $6 a unit gives us $204,000, and that's our variable cost. Our high activity level shipping expense, our total expense was $210,000, and that's our total cost, fixed and variable, because we're looking at a mixed cost. We just said that our variable expense was the $34,000 times the variable cost, which is $204,000, which gives us a fixed cost per element of, let's see, 238,000 minus 204 is $34,000. All right, and I kind of have a little, let's see, I have a little cheat down here that says check my work. Let me make sure my calculations are actually correct before we move on. All right, so there's our high amounts, there's our low amounts. We've used the difference. We've calculated our amount per unit by dividing our total shipping expense by our units sold, and that's using that change line. So that gave us a $6 per unit. And then we calculated how much of the $238,000 is fixed and how much of it is variable because we know that it's $6 a unit variable, and at $34,000 times $6 gives us 34,000 units times $6 a unit gives us $204,000 in variable. So we're taking that variable cost away from that total cost to get our fixed cost element. So let me close that window, go back up here, and the next thing we're doing is showing our equation on calculating our total cost of fixed and variable. So our total cost is our fixed cost of $34,000, and I got that from here. And that'd be our fixed cost plus our variable cost, and our variable cost is $6 a unit times, we don't know, it depends on how many units we're going to make, and that would be our equation. So fixed cost plus variable cost of $6 a unit times the number of units. So that is our equation. The next thing we're going to do is do a budgeted contribution format income statement. And it's going to look something like this. Again, I would put this in Excel. I think that's the easiest way to go about it. We're going to have to put our titles in here. So the first thing we're going to start is with sales, and it says the company plans to sell 27,000 units at a selling price of $56 a unit. So they're telling us what our sales are. $56 a selling price per unit times 27,000 units is $1,512,000. And then we have to list our variable expenses. So I believe we've got some stuff up here. Our variable expenses are actually our cost of goods sold, because that varies depending on how many things we sell. Our sales commission, they're actually basing that on sales. And our shipping expense, we've already said, is partially fixed and partially variable. So we're going to go down here, and we've got 3 of those. Cost of goods sold, our sales commission, and our shipping expense. So this says our cost of goods sold is $26 per unit. So we're going to take that $26 and multiply it by 27,000 units sold. That's $702,000. We'll put that in here. Our sales commission, I think, was 8%. 8% of sales. So we're going to take our total sales of $1,512,000 times 8% is $120,960. And then our selling expenses, oops, I'm sorry, our shipping expenses. I have the wrong thing here. Shipping expenses is the number of things that we're going to sell, which is 27,000 units, and we're calculating variable cost, so we're going to use that $6 a unit. So $6 times 27,000 units is $162,000. So we have a total variable expenses in mind added automatically, which will give us the contribution margin. The contribution margin is our sales less our variable expenses. Now we're going to add in the rest of our expenses, our fixed expenses, and those are up here, and they're basically what's left. So we have advertising that's fixed per quarter, administrative is fixed per quarter, insurance is fixed per quarter, depreciation is fixed per quarter, and we can't forget we have that $34,000 of shipping expense that is a fixed part of shipping. So I'm going to put my titles here. So I've got advertising, shipping, administrative, administrative salaries, insurance, and depreciation. And then I have to scroll back up here. That is the joy of doing this way. Advertising is $176,000 per quarter. Our shipping was what we calculated here, was $34,000. And that's the fixed part of it. Administrative salaries, $86,000. I believe insurance was $9,600, and depreciation was $56,000. All right, so that gives us our total fixed expenses, and we need a title down here, and this would be net operating income because we actually have more revenue than we had either variable or fixed expenses. Now I'm going to check my work one more time to make sure I didn't do any math wrong, so that I don't confuse you. Don't you wish there was a check my work thing in real life? Oh, and I see lots of green things, so I'm going to close that again. So your homework should look something like this. Again, I just use Excel, set you up an easy spreadsheet. You don't have to be perfect. As long as I can make out what it is and can see the amounts, then I will be happy. I hope this helps. If you get stuck, you have any problems, can't figure out how to go about this, feel free to send me an email or give me a call on my cell phone, or you can text my cell phone and I will be happy to help you.